Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really plunging into something quite unusual, a piece of international correspondence that, well, it's certainly got people talking.
It really has. We're talking about this letter, right? From the U.S. president to Brazil's president.
Exactly. And it just immediately kicked off this intense debate.
Yeah, it's one of those moments, where the whole idea of diplomatic exchange is suddenly under this, super bright spotlight.
So our mission today for this deep dive is really to unpack this specific letter.
Right. Look at what it says it wants to do. It's, let's call it unique style.
Unique is one word for it, yeah.
And the reactions, which were pretty immediate and pretty strong from, well, all sorts of observers.
We want to help you understand not just, what was said, but maybe how it landed, how it was received.
And what it might mean, sort of, for diplomacy, international relations going forward.
And we're basing this discussion mainly on a detailed report from alternate.org. They've done a good job sort of dissecting the letter and pulling together commentary, expert, and public.
Yeah, that's a solid source for this.
And what jumps out right away, and you'll see why, is this signature style everyone's talking about, and also this major tariff announcement. The report says the motivation seemed, well, political rather than economic, which is interesting.
That's the core tension right there, isn't it? It makes you think, how often do you see such openly political reasons driving big economic moves in, official letters?
Usually it's dressed up a bit more, right? Even if politics are behind it.
Exactly. It's often couched in economic terms, justifications. But here, the report highlights just how direct it was. Almost jarringly so.
Okay, so let's get into the details. This diplomatic bombshell, as some are calling it.
Yeah.
The report says the letter was sent by U.S. President Donald Trump to Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. That was Wednesday, July 9th, 2025.
And the headline announcement, right up front, a huge 50% tariff on all imported goods from Brazil.
Wow, all goods, that's a sweeping.
It is. And what's really crucial, like you said, based on the source, is the stated reason, described explicitly as more political than economic.
Which, if you follow diplomacy, that just immediately sets off, warning bells.
Right. It signals this isn't just about trade deficits or market access.
Yeah.
It's about something else entirely.
And maybe the strangest part, how the letter actually starts. You'd think tariffs start with trade, right?
Oh, yeah.
But no. It kicks off by attacking the trial of former President Jair Bolsonaro, the one where he's charged with attempting a coup.
Yeah, I saw that. Trump apparently called the trial an international disgrace.
And a witch hunt that should end immediately. All caps, apparently.
Before he even gets to the tariff.
Before he even mentions the tariffs. It's quite the opening.
And that really leans into those stylistic elements people notice. The report calls it Trump's signature style of randomly capitalized letters and all caps adjectives.
Seeing that in an official letter between heads of state, have we seen that before? It feels pretty unprecedented.
It's certainly unusual, yeah. Very unconventional for this kind of communication.
And the language around the trade justification itself, even after that political opening, was pretty strong, too.
Oh, yeah.
What did it say there? Well, it included things like, we have had years to discuss our trading relationship with Brazil and have concluded that we must move away from the long-standing and very unfair trade relationship engendered by Brazil's tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers. Quite a mouthful.
Okay, so laying out a case of unfairness.
Yeah.
And did it continue in that vein?
Yep. Declared, our relationship has been, unfortunately, far from reciprocal.
Reciprocal with a capital R, I bet.
It probably was, given the style notes. And then it says, please understand that the 50% number is far less than what is needed to have the level playing field we must have with your country.
Wow. So not only imposing a huge tariff, but saying it's actually not enough.
Pretty much. And then it ties it all back explicitly to the politics. The final phrase quoted is, and it is necessary to have this to rectify the grave injustices of the current regime.
So there it is. The economic measure directly linked, in writing, to fixing perceived injustices of Lula's government.
Exactly. No ambiguity there.
And, well, as you can imagine, that direct link, that sort of blending of domestic politics and economic sanctions, it caused immediate waves, starting with people pushing back on the economics itself.
Right, like who?
Well, George Perix, he's a microstrategist at Bespoke Investment. The report says he pretty quickly debunked Trump's claims about the trade relationship itself.
Oh, really? How did he do that? What was his point?
His key point was, well, kind of inconvenient for the letter's argument, he pointed out that the U.S. actually runs a trade surplus with Brazil.
A surplus, so the U.S. exports more to Brazil than it imports.
That's what Parrott stated, yes. And Brazil's a G20 economy, not some minor player. So that directly challenges the whole idea of an unfair or non-reciprocal relationship where the U.S. is supposedly losing out.
Okay, that's a pretty fundamental, factual challenge right there. Undermines the whole economic premise, doesn't it?
It certainly seems to. And Perkins didn't stop there. He apparently had some very strong words about the intent of the letter.
Such as?
He called it an attempt to steal the sovereignty of Brazil. Said there's really no other way to describe this, and even characterized it as an effort to overthrow their domestic political institutions.
Wow. Those are incredibly strong words. Stealing sovereignty, overthrow institutions. That's serious stuff.
Very serious accusations, yes. And what's also fascinating is how the public reactions, the immediate ones, they focus just as much on the style as the substance.
Right, the CIPS, Lawton diplomacy.
Exactly. Like Mersh Zahid, a progressive organizer, was apparently on Blue Ski lamenting Trump using Campias Aldog in official White House letterhead.
While also doing what Perkins mentioned.
Right, while also interfering with domestic affairs of a democratically elected government of a sovereign nation. So it was both the form and the function causing concern.
And it wasn't just the caps, right? Others had issues with the language itself.
Yeah, film editor Michael Sweeney apparently just called it barely literate.
Yes, ouch.
And maybe the most colorful comparison came from author Bei Kaikoya. She said the letter reads as if it was written by a fifth grader high on the 1990s cartoon Pinky and the Brain.
Okay, that's vivid. You do wonder, does that kind of casual, almost juvenile style, does it take away from the seriousness of the message? Or maybe that's the point.
It absolutely raises questions. I mean, when official state communication reads like that,
Yeah.
it's not just about manners or decorum, is it?
No.
It makes you question the seriousness of the policy, maybe the respect being shown to the other country.
Which seems to be what Mark Kropalovich picked up on. He's a political science professor, University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Yeah, the report quotes him offering this broader critique. He said something like, lawless authoritarianism at home, stealing sovereignty abroad.
Okay, echoing Peart's there.
Mm-hmm. But only for this one special boy, because we've decided nothing matters, and no one else who swore oaths needs to do their damn jobs. Pretty scathing.
Very scathing. And he called the whole thing
Maddening and unserious, and we should stop it. That was his take.
So a real sense of frustration there, not just disagreement, but a kind of exasperation with the whole approach.
Exactly.
So when you hear all these reactions, from the economic debunking to the stylistic critiques, the accusations of interference, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does this tell us about what people expect from diplomatic communication these days?
Yeah, and maybe what the role of actual facts is versus just rhetoric when it comes to international policy.
And how much does a leader's personal communication style, especially one that's distinct, how much does that affect how the world sees a country, its credibility?
It's a huge question. I mean, what this whole situation really highlights, I think, is this blurring line. The line between, say, domestic political bluster and official diplomatic communication.
It feels like that line got erased here.
It certainly seems blurred, maybe even deliberately. It suggests perhaps a shift where leaders might be prioritizing, I don't know, internal political points or even personal feelings over sticking to established international ways of doing things.
Which could fundamentally challenge diplomatic norms, right? And trust.
Absolutely. If the rule book gets thrown out, what replaces it?
Okay, so just to recap our deep dive then, we've looked at this really unprecedented letter from the U.S. president to Brazil's president.
Yeah, a letter that kind of uniquely mashed together these bold political statements about Brazil's internal politics.
Specifically, the Bolsonaro trial.
Right. Mash that together with major economic actions, these huge tariffs.
All delivered in this highly distinctive, very unconventional style, random caps, strong adjectives, the works.
And the result, an immediate storm of criticism, challenging both the substance, like the economic claims, and the whole diplomatic approach itself.
So, given those intense reactions, the accusations about sovereignty, it leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, what are the lasting implications of a letter like this? Not just for U.S.-Brazil relations, but for diplomatic norms everywhere.
Yeah, how might this kind of communication affect not just that one relationship, but maybe the broader perception of a nation's diplomatic credibility on the world stage? Does it change the game?
It really makes you think, what does this mean for the future of how nations talk to each other, especially when things are tense?
Yeah.
What happens to global trust? when communication norms are challenged so directly. It's something to keep an eye on for sure.